Hi, Shell, and all you other wonderful weirdos watching. So, I've got a double whammy this time because one of these short stories is only 10 pages and not much to talk about. Or so I thought, but I kind of had it in my head. I'm going to read both of them at the same time. This time we are talking about Graveyard Shift and Night Surf. I mean, if I were quickly to say like spoiler free thoughts, it would be Graveyard Shift is, well, it's about rats. It's very concise and to the point, but there's no plot. It's just workers working the night shift, and they go down trying to clean a basement out, and there's rats everywhere, and they're huge. It's literally the premise of Graveyard Shift, and the premise of Night Surf is just well, it's kind of like what if the pandemic had gotten way worse and there's like a group of people just sitting trying to chill, not worry about the future too much because everything's gone to hell, and they're just trying to cope with that. Well, when I say cope, it's more like loosely. They're the worst. That they are the worst. Yeah. Not great, not great. I think I saw a thumbnail where Night Surf became The Stand, which 10 pages that suddenly became, where is it? Come on, out you get. So if these 10 pages are to go off of, that kind of created this monstrosity of a book. And when I say monstrosity, I mean this is the second biggest book probably. It's a brick. It's a murder weapon. It's that blunt. It's seriously. So if that thumbnail is to be believed, that 10 pages created this in the end. I think I'm going to be reading this soon then. I mean, I've had this on my shelf for a few years. I think I should try. So maybe that's going there. So that's going there where I can see it then. These are pretty very short, so there's not really much to talk about that isn't, giving it away. I mean, I did not like either of these stories particularly well. So I'm just going to get into it. Graveyard Shift. Nothing about this I like. Besides the fact that it's short and I can get over it quite quickly. That's pretty much the only positive here. Mainly because I don't know, because it's so short. There's not much like depth to it. It is just a factory of some sort is just like cleaning, like requires like its workers to go down to the basement. There's a lot of rats and they've got to do it before the 4th of July. But yeah, so this is like just something that is literally all it is happening, and just people are getting attacked by the rats whilst they're down there, and it is a little gross. And when it came to the sub basement, so the basement below the basement, yeah, that didn't even get a chill off me. I wasn't at all gripped by it. It just seemed to be an infestation of giant rats, and there's one giant queen at the end. It just didn't grip me that much. But what I did enjoy was like that one time where the main character one ups the boss because he is an insufferable typical boss, but at the same time there's not much depth to that. It's just like he's the insufferable boss. What can you do with that? The descriptions weren't as good as Jerusalem's Lot because we had like an in-depth. I could feel the floor move. This I just felt grossed out because the rats were described quite effectively, but that's it. There's not much to talk about for 20 or so pages. It's very hopeless at the same time. Like they go down there, they're getting attacked by the rats, and then they go down the sub basement, gets worse, and he's literally holding, yeah, I'm just gonna go tell like health and safety that there's a lot of rats down here, so you can't fire me unless we go down. And I'm just like, why don't you just do that anyways? Why do you have to go down there? And it's like said that the main character is like a wanderer, and this is the one thing he kind of wants to do right now. It's like, yeah, I want to do this. Why? Why? There's no reason for you to go down in that basement. There's no reason. You don't have. I don't know. Because there was like no drive to it. I mean, I felt like there was more characterization in Jerusalem's Lot than. I mean, we're following the perspective as well of the main character. We're not reading the letters, we are reading from the perspective of the main character. Hall. I don't really feel it. I don't. It doesn't seem much of a character because it's just he exists and he one ups his boss because he used to be in college. I don't know. It doesn't seem very in depth. So I continued reading because I didn't feel like there's much to talk about besides how gross it was. Not my kind of horror. I quite liked the horror of Jerusalem's Lot though. Like there's a giant eldritch horror, even though that Jerusalem's Lot was about Christianity, a Christian man finding Satan worship and being horrified by it. And I just feel like that's been overdone in my past of horror, and I'm like, I didn't find that all that scary, but it was effective in its execution. It was effective in its description. It was effective in building believable people. I have no idea why these men are just like, right, no, I think I value not going into the basement full of rats. And for some reason, Hall is laughing as he's dying to these things. I mean, sure, but I just don't like how that played out. It just didn't seem believable. Whereas the Jerusalem's Lot weirdly did, even though it's about a giant worm worship. But the people were real. The people felt real. The people do feel real in Night Surf. However, they are the worst. They are the worst. I mean, you can have a story written from terrible people. It's just the fat phobia was a bit much. Like, it was a bit much. So, Night Surf, we are following Bernie from Bernie's perspective, and there's a group of people, and apparently they've just burnt a guy. Yeah, that they burnt a guy. I do enjoy the concept of the story. It was an interesting idea. I just didn't like the people to the point where it ruined the story considerably. Like, no, it ruined just being in this person's head. I hated it. So that's why I put the stand there, because if I'm in that world, but not in that person's perspective, brilliant. Hang on. Does it say Bernie on there? Doesn't say Bernie on the back, at least. I mean, so long as the fat phobia stays in Night Surf and not in this one, I'll be fine. Because Bernie's an absolute. I want to punch him. Just the way he talks about his girlfriend. I feel so sorry for Susie. Wow. But yeah, so it's following them after an outbreak of something called A6, which is a variant of the flu. And it's basically wiped out a lot of people. And they were talking about how A2, they all had A2 at the like close to the end. They were talking about A2 and how it's not guaranteed that you're now immune because you had A2. You've just like, it's just denial now. But it's just like, it's just this guy thinking about the events of what's happened. Like, it got a little too realistic with the fact of the pandemic. But, you know, so we have them just going about doing whatever because there's nothing else to do. It's the end of the world. And they've already burnt the person, but he talks about how they've found the person, muttering about his grandmother, and how the virus is potentially turns you a little crazy towards the end. And one of the people in their group has it and has like the mark, but doesn't feel different any other than like the headaches and the stomach aches and that one mark. Yeah. So they're all going to eventually die, and Bernie thinks they're not going to make it, they're not going to survive the winter, but why worry about that? And it's very, I quite liked the concept. It was interesting just having just a retrospective of what has gone on. It's not even, it's just 10 pages of this group of people at a beach, and it's just them having a conversation. It's not, it's just not nothing happens really. It's just, how do I even describe this? Actually, I'm trying my best to describe this, but I'm just failing, because 10 pages you get a lot of jam-packed, in-depth world building, yet nothing happens in the actual narrative of like what this group is doing. It's just talking about that they've just burnt this guy, potentially because somebody like read up on satanic protection and like, oh yeah, we just made a sacrifice, maybe we'll be protected from A6. But they don't feel anything about it. They don't feel any remorse. They're just like cracking on with their lives. There's like 2 radio stations, and yeah, they're just hanging out at this beach, and this guy is just thinking about the state of the world. Really, it, and how when he was at that beach last, there's nothing happening in this book, but you get quite an effective world built. Like, wow. So I didn't enjoy the perspective that I was put into, but the story, I would love to continue on just like in that world, just not from Bernie, not from this group of people, because they are pretty bad, including Susie, and not for the reason why Bernie thinks she's bad, but because she's, well, she helped burn the guy, as well as straight up attacked another member of the group, and yeah, they're kind of descending into madness, I think. So yeah, there wasn't much to talk about for both stories, but I kind of, I liked the idea of Night Surf, where it's just the last group of people. What do you do? Because humanity is basically gone. What is there from there? So that is pretty interesting. That's why I watch a lot of zombie movies, because especially 28 Days Later, I can't wait for the new movie of that coming out. Night Surf was quite good. It's just, I could punch Bernie in the face if he was real. Graveyard Shift wasn't too much of anything. It's just rats. It's just the one of the rats. It's my least favourite of the 3 that I've read so far. Maybe I'll do a ranking at the end of reading the entire 20 of these, but even though this isn't this is just a quick fire, I felt like I haven't talked about this much, because it's not, there's not much that happened besides men went into a basement and a group of people hanging out at a beach talking about how much the world has gone to hell. Yeah, there's not much to say in this particular episode, but yeah. But that's all this week. Not much really, but what can you do? Not every week's gonna have substance. It was interesting reading both of these. I will point out that I did find an audiobook for both of these on YouTube for free. I will be saying my Night Surf, the one I found was disappointing because there was a full page and a half missing from the middle. So I had to pause it and read the page and a half. And then it cut off full chapter at the end. Not chapter, paragraph. Full paragraph from the end. So I really wish that these audiobooks would have be standardized. I don't know if it's because they have different copies, have different versions of the story, like re-edited, etc. But I mean, Graveyard Shift was pretty spot on with the copy that I had. But so that's just another video for this week. Happy Short Story Saturdays, and I believe also happy Easter, I guess, when this is coming out. It is Easter weekend. Anyways, bye, Shell, and bye to all you other wonderful weirdos watching. Have a happy Easter if you celebrate it. But yeah, Bye.